Well, hello there, and I bring you greetings from Bethany United Church of Christ in Claremont, North Carolina, where no matter who you are or where you are on life's journey, you are welcome here. Today, I have been pondering, what does it mean to be brave? What does it mean to be brave? For many, when we hear that word brave, it may conjure up for us, images of people facing extreme peril, rushing into danger to help another. It may bring to mind a variety of scenes from history or from books or from movies where people look evil in the eye and commit to doing something about it with acts of resistance. And yes, such we'll call them unique and extraordinary moments do offer examples of bravery. Yet today, I want us to consider what maybe we could call ordinary bravery. The sort of bravery that movies likely won't be made about, but which can indeed change us and change those around us. I'm talking about the everyday moments when we are given the opportunity to step out of what might be comfortable into that which is uncomfortable, believing that something good may just come from it. These moments may be the times when we feel a bit uncertain, yet they're the moments that can change everything. It may come in a time of maybe saying something when silence might be easier or even feel like the safer option. It may be a moment of doing something that just feels outside of our comfort zone, and yet we have a conviction that we need to do it or that it is the right thing to do. These can be moments that bring forth green pastures in our lives and in the lives of others, if only we are willing to be brave. In my time volunteering and working at Pilgrim Lodge, which is the United Church of Christ church camp in Maine, we often talk about creating brave spaces for our campers. And you may wonder, what exactly does that mean, brave spaces? It means that we wanted to cultivate an environment where campers could try new things and where campers could ask difficult questions and to know that they would be helped and encouraged through whatever they were encountering. We wanted to cultivate an environment where no one was forced out of their comfort zone, said, you got to do this thing. But we were hoping that campers would willingly go to those places outside of their comfort zone when they knew the love and care that surrounded them, the spirit of openness and compassion that was with them. And that sort of stepping out of our comfort zone into those brave spaces of newness and unknown, that can hold a lot of risk, can't it? It can be the risk of being vulnerable, from within, from who we are, and also that risk of failing, right? When we try something new, that can be a risk too. Yet the hope, again, is that as a camp community, we have cultivated and we have nurtured a culture that surrounds one another and holds one another through the risk, so that the risk maybe doesn't feel as scary as it once did. And even if the thing we risk or the place where we're brave doesn't end up in the same way that we might have hoped, the camper still knows that they are cherished and that they are held in the goodness of communal care. That's what it means, at least to me, that's what it means to create brave spaces. And the summer I was on staff there, we as staff, we were encouraged to consider what we wanted to do to be brave, where we wanted to be brave in our lives in that summer. And for me, I decided I wanted to kayak out on the lake. And that was a really big deal for me because I am not a swimmer. With a life jacket on, I might be able to kick around a little bit, but I'm not a swimmer. I've always been very anxious on water, given that when I was a kid, I had an experience where I almost drowned in a pool. So that has stuck with me, the trauma of that moment. So this idea of kayaking out on the lake was a risk. It was anxiety producing, to say the least. But yet I wanted to learn because I saw so many people going out and kayaking on the beautiful lake there and getting to experience something that I wasn't able to experience, getting to look at God's creation and beauty in a different way, from a different perspective. I wanted that experience as well. And with the love and care of my fellow staff members, when I was ready, they were there, helping and encouraging and journeying right alongside. By the end of that summer, I was out on that lake a couple times every week, experiencing God's beautiful world in a new to me way. It was a green pasture moment for me, one that I may have never experienced if I had not embraced that brave space. You know, I believe that Jesus calls us into those brave spaces as well. Not just in moments like this one that have, personal growth and facing a fear, triumphing amidst an anxiety that we hold, but also for moments that bring forth justice and compassion and care where our world needs it the most. In our gospel lesson today, we receive this image of a place of comfort. It's its own comfort zone, if you will, right? The sheep are safely home in the sheepfold, in this enclosure that is meant to keep out anyone who would intend harm and to keep safe the sheep within. In this part of the story, Jesus is compared to being the gate, right? Jesus welcomes in and also provides that protection. There is comfort here. There is safety here. There is peace in that sheepfold of Christ. Yet, I am here to suggest that the abundant life that Jesus brings, the green pastures of Psalm 23, that oh so familiar psalm to many of us, that abundant life, those green pastures, they cannot be found simply within the sheepfold, within the place of comfort. But that abundant life is found when we bravely step out of that comfort place and seek it with Jesus as our guide. Think about it for a moment. I grew up on a farm, and while we didn't have sheep, we had cows. And what happens if you simply leave a group of cattle in one section of pasture forever, for a really long time? What happens? Even if that pasture started as a green and lush area, one that would be considered abundant, eventually the cattle, they're going to eat through that abundance. And by walking over the earth, they're going to trample it down. And all of a sudden, a place that might have started looking out like a place of abundance, often it becomes a scene of scarcity instead. So the herd, while they had their main pasture, and I would consider probably the most secure pasture in a lot of ways. It was also the one we could see right from the front porch of the house, so our eyes were on it. It was where the water trough was, so it was where sustenance would be provided. It's where additional feed would be provided, all of those things. But yet, for the herd to experience abundance, to experience green pastures, they would have to be moved from that place to another pasture. And I just loved watching them. Sometimes they'd like gallop in to those fields where there's newness, there's an abundance that is there. Those fields may not be as secure, but I remember my dad would often go and sit with them to just make sure that they were safe, that they weren't getting into trouble. For us to experience abundance, we cannot stay within the places that are just comfortable or familiar. We must be willing to go with the shepherd out into the world. We must be willing to go out and to be brave in that going out, of stepping out of our comfort, of stepping out of the familiarity, of stepping into a world where there are dark valleys, where there are thieves coming to cause harm in the world around us. That's another image that Jesus uses here in the scripture reading. We must be willing to go out, knowing that the love of our community, the love of our Christ, of our good shepherd, that goes with us. And that with that guidance, with that love and care and support, we may just find abundance in new ways, green pastures for ourselves, but also for those around us. In this good shepherd imagery that we hear, Jesus doesn't offer a promise that life is without trials or without dark valleys, but what is promised as we step out bravely into the world is care, and that caring and comforting presence as we face those hard places where a little bravery is needed. And if we are willing to encounter the forces which seek to limit goodness in our lives and in our world, we may just find green pastures on the other side. You know, the other week I was in a bookstore and I spotted this book by Lois Lowry. Maybe some of you are familiar with it. It's entitled Number the Stars. And I love some of her other writings, The Giver being one of them. And so I never read this one. I picked it up and I've been reading through it over the past couple of days. And this is it's a historical fiction based on the true story of Danish resistance against the Nazi regime as Denmark, a group within Denmark was planning to smuggle the entire Jewish population, about 7,000 people, smuggle them out of Denmark to get them to Sweden, to move them from a place that had become a dark valley to a place where they might just experience a moment of green pasture. And in this story, we follow a 10-year-old girl, Anne-Marie, who, along with her Lutheran family, are trying to keep her friend Ellen and her Jewish family safe. And I haven't finished it yet. I'm still reading through it, but just this morning, I read these words between Anne-Marie and her uncle Heinrich. "How brave are you, little Anne-Marie?" he asked suddenly. "Not very," she confessed, looking at the floor of the barn. "I think that is not true," Uncle Heinrich said. "I think you are like your mama and your papa and like me, frightened but determined. And if the time came to be brave, I am quite sure you would be very, very brave." Beloved people of God, we cherish the moments and the places and the people and the shepherd who help nurture the places of comfort. Yes, those moments when we feel safe in the sheepfold. Yes, those are beautiful moments. And yet it is that same shepherd, that same community that goes with us when we leave the place of comfort from time to time. Trusting and believing that green pastures and goodness are out there even in the midst of dark valleys. For when we are willing to be brave, we might just experience something we never got to experience before. We may preserve, we may nurture life for another. We ourselves may change for the better, and so may the world around us. Love may just abound when we step outside of our comfort zone to do justice, to love kindness, to walk humbly with our God. So let us be brave. Let us be very brave sheep. Rejoicing, yes, in the places of comfort, and being willing to step beyond the gate to seek green pastures and abundant life, knowing that we don't traverse those dark valleys alone, but that our community and our Christ go with us. So be it, and may it be so. Amen.